What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. Joined by JT, joined by DC on this beautiful Monday morning, Memorial Day. Great day of baseball. We got Game 7 in the NBA. A bunch going on today. But, of course, first of all, anyone out there, if you have friends, family, if you yourself serve, if you've had loved ones fall, I mean, man, those are the true heroes in this world. We don't need to spend too much time on it. Everyone here probably agrees. I think that's one thing that's pretty black and white in this world is the people that serve. We absolutely do appreciate them. So remember, drinks going on. If you like the weed going on, if you like family, friends, watching sports, whatever you're doing today, enjoying yourself, a day off of work, remember why that is. That's all I got to say. JT, how's this Monday morning going? How many cool Blue Moon Coors Lights are you going to have today?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's a good day. We've got, as you mentioned, baseball on in the afternoon. We've got the NBA at night. Myself, personally, I'm probably going to be a little bit more interested in watching a game that starts at 8 o'clock tonight in Oakland. That is the return of Mike Soroka for the Atlanta Braves. So I'm interested to see how that goes for a team that, I mean, look, let's be honest, desperately needs pitching help right now, like so many teams in Major League Baseball, just with all the injuries. Not going to speculate on what's causing them. We've seen this ramp up the last couple of seasons, more pitchers getting injured. A lot of speculation that some of it at least has to do with the just pure velocity that these guys are throwing at now and whether or not that's good for the human body. But we got a beautiful 6-game slate. I see a lot of edge on this slate, and I'm excited to get into it.
Love to hear that, JT. Love to hear that. DC, you're in a hotel. How was your Monday morning, Memorial Day? Any fun plans for the day? I mean, what, baseball early, baseball late, basketball late? If you are a sports fan, you got the whole day covered, even if the family isn't in town. But what's going on, man?
Yeah, here in beautiful Buena Vista, Colorado. I've actually never been here before, but one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. Got some 14ers right outside my window here, and had a fun weekend hiking. Did some horseback riding. Get out of mom's basement a little bit, have some fun, and I'll actually be spending a lot of the day driving after this show. Unfortunately, probably through a lot of traffic headed back to Denver on this Monday morning / afternoon. But hey, that's all right. I'll have some baseball to sweat along the way, and hopefully some winners as well.
Absolutely. Who do we got in chat today on this Monday? Before we go game by game, we got 6 games on the main slate on DK today. And then we got a 4-game night slate as well. So look at that. What do we got in chat? We got Stevers in chat, our guy. Heat, Team of Destiny. Tuttle seems more like a Bud Light guy. To be honest, I don't mind Bud Light. I love Coors Light. Yeah, all this stuff going on right now about I don't even follow the news and all this stuff going on and why Bud Light, Target, and all that. I don't care if it tastes good, if that's what I like. Bud Light is one of my favorite beers. Coors Light, though, Corona, stuff like that. But no Bud Lights today. Enough booze on the weekend. K-Fleek Burner's in here. Al is in here. We appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. As always, all we ask from you is a like button and a big red subscribe button. When you do hit that like button, helps us out a ton. Takes 1 second out of your day. And if you do want to be a member, head over to Run Pure Sports. DC15 gets you 15% off. Rubio's absolutely been crushing the NBA Showdown. Shout out to him. Golf, every sport, Rubio's been crushing. But today, Game 7, monster prize pools. Rubio will be doing the NBA Showdown playbook. As always, Big T, JSU, all them will have their stuff up. And then MLB, big prize pools today. Both these guys will have their content up on the site as well. Good morning to everybody out there. We'll talk some baseball, though. 6 games, like I said. DC, we'll start at pitching. I'll say, let's go. I don't know. What do you think, DC? You want to talk about all of them on this 6-game slate? You want to break it up a certain way? I'll let you talk. Take the approach that you think is best on this slate.
Yeah, I think we can just kind of break them down as a pool. Obviously, only 6 games. I wish there were more, right? It seems like on Memorial Day, I kind of wish there's a bigger slate to play, but
I feel like mainly it's all like in the morning, like the main ones at like the 1:05 time. There's not because a 4-game night slate, it's pretty good compared to normal. Yeah. I don't know for sure if that's it, but it feels like more of them were during the day than staggered throughout the day. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think maybe even a few teams have the day off, which seems strange to me. But regardless, 6-game slate today. Pitching seems not super great, honestly, on the slate. I do think we'll see. My guess is, I'm looking at the ownership percentages, obviously, that plays a pretty significant role in the direction that we want to go. I'm seeing Eovaldi around 40%, at least over at our friend SaberSim. I'm guessing it gets higher than that. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys have better numbers than me. That makes sense. I mean, he's been the best pitcher, this season on this slate, no question about it. He's been pretty consistent. I will say Detroit's bats have woken up. I've been kind of riding the Zach McKinstry, Riley Green, and even a little Akil Baddoo train this week. Those guys have been good. So I don't think Eovaldi is some lock, but I do think he is the safest option on this slate, 10.5K on DraftKings. He's the highest priced pitcher over at FanDuel too, 11.2. He's a full $1,000 more than Sonny Gray there, who is 10.2 on FanDuel, and then the only other pitcher over 10K on DraftKings as well, sitting right at 10K, is Sonny Gray. So I do have Eovaldi number one. He would be the guy I would play in cash games, but I don't think he is such a lock that you absolutely have to lock him in tournaments. And I do think, I'll have a few teams today. I'll have some Eovaldi. I'll have some of those Tigers lefties I just talked about against him as well, on teams that I'm not using him. I do think you can go both directions. And frankly, I think that's true of most of this slate. We got a couple higher totals, Diamondbacks, Cardinals, nothing crazy. And I honestly don't think we're going to see monster pitching performances. So I have Eovaldi 1, but again, I do think that's going to be reflected in ownership. We've got Taj Bradley, second here, Rays rookie, who's been really, frankly, pretty damn good in every start he's made at the big league level for the Rays. Was supposed to go yesterday. They went with Fleming instead, who got absolutely shelled. So it'll be Bradley who gets to start. And we've seen for the last week or two, it seems like, in Chicago, winds blowing in. It is a little warmer, but still 10-mile-per-hour winds in Wrigley Field. That means it will play like a pitcher's park. Bradley got good stuff. He's shown good strikeout upside as well. I think he is close to, for me, with Tyler Wells. Orioles pitcher has kind of had a little bit of a breakout season here. Previous to this year, they really didn't let him go deep into games. But now you see it. It's really consistent. Last 4 games, pitch count 95, 95, 96, 96. So you know what to expect from him. He's going to get in the mid-90s in terms of pitches. He gets a Cleveland offense that really hasn't shown much life at all this year, frankly. So I've got Wells 3. So Eovaldi, Bradley, Wells. Sonny Gray I've got 4th, but I do think there's a drop-off for me there in terms of my interest in rostering him. Really tough matchup against Houston. I don't think we have their lineup yet, but assuming it's their normal lineup, obviously they've got Altuve back, Alvarez, Tucker, all those guys can do a lot of damage. So I like Sonny Gray. I think he's got upside, but hasn't been quite as good recently as he was early on in the season. And then Marcus Stroman, I think, is another guy to consider. I think he'll be popular, right? Also gets to pitch in that Wrigley game. He's a really safe option. He's not a guy I love rostering, frankly, in DFS, but I think on this slate, he's certainly in consideration. I've got a couple more cheap guys to at least discuss, but yeah, for now, I think that's a good roundup of the top end options.
Cool. Yeah, we'll go to JT for the top 2. Or besides Eovaldi, which if it was a normal 10-game slate, 11-game slate, and we've seen some I don't think Eovaldi is a smash play by any means. I mean, pitching's gross. I have him. He's the only guy I have projected about 15 DK points for pitching today, and I got him roughly around 18, and that's rare. Usually, I have multiple guys above that. So yeah, I expect offenses to come through. And I expect some of these pitchers at JT, some concentrated ownership up top. So this is slate we get a little different. Are you eating Eovaldi chalk? What are you doing at the top end of pitching?
Yeah, so I've got Eovaldi.
Or just touch on all pitching. Break it all down, then we'll go to DC to close it out.
Yeah, I'll start with Taj Bradley. Good couple of performances. Couple of performances were mediocre against some very tough offenses, though. Chicago Cubs, middle of the road, but their strikeout rates are much higher than the middle of the road. So we'll talk about the weather a little bit here because I think people are going to see this. We'll talk about the weather more when we get to the offense. But sticking with Taj Bradley here, I think that the strikeout rate for the Cubs makes some sense for this to be a get-right game for him in a game that I think the Rays are going to win. I think they're going to win quite handily, actually. Moving down, agree with DC on Eovaldi. The Tigers have been, and DC, I saw those guys in your core yesterday taking advantage of a little bit of leverage against Dylan Cease, and they were in the winner. They were in the winner in all the contests. So, but I think with Eovaldi, you get just a massive step up from what they've faced really over the course of this weekend from the White Sox. So I think Eovaldi is pretty safe here. We'll go down just in order of the way that I've ranked them based on their numbers over the course of the season. Sonny Gray comes in as the third best pitcher on the slate based on season numbers that I look at. I'm completely off of him today. 10K against Astros in Houston. Now, the only case I can make for maybe playing Sonny Gray is the fact that the Houston Astros just faced essentially a, little league team and little league pitching. Now they're going to get some better pitching. But that being said, he had a bizarre outlier start, his first start against the Astros this season. Historically, he has not been all that great on the road in Houston. So I think I'm off of him. I am definitely off of Tyler Wells. There is some weather in Baltimore. There's a delay that's potentially predicted. But the other thing for Tyler Wells is 176 batting average against, 88% left on base so far. The Guardians have been terrible. The Guardians have just hit singles, and they've been hard to roster. I made these notes last night, and I have a note next to Tyler Wells that says Cleveland eruption ? So at least last night, after spending a day at the pool and watching the Sunday night baseball game, I was sitting here looking at numbers in my truest state, thinking, hey, maybe this is a spot where Cleveland gets right. So I'm going to go with that this morning, because if I look back at my notes later today and I don't have any Cleveland bats, I don't know what I would do with myself, but it wouldn't be good. I'm completely off of JP France here. I know that he's going to be popular. He just should not be 33% owned on this slate. The way that he's pitched, I actually like Minnesota bats more than I do the Houston bats here. We'll get to that when we get to offense. Kansas City is a bullpen game, although I will say Mike Myers looks like he's going to be either, I don't know if Stallmont's opening or they've changed that, but Myers pitched pretty well his last time out. He gets a powerful Cardinals lineup, but a Cardinals lineup that has disappointed, although you wonder with the rest of that Royals bullpen, is this a get-right spot for the Cardinals as well? Marcus Stroman, man, the Rays are going to be almost completely unowned on this slate. And it's just so silly to me. Against one of the most emotional pitchers in Major League Baseball. He has his revenge game, his last start against the Mets. He's pounding his chest, and I think the Rays are going to pound him right into the trade market as the Cubs start to sink further and further out of the National League Central Division. So I'm off of Stroman. Matthew Boyd, I'm very happy that DC did not utter his name, although he did hint that he has some cheaper pitchers that he likes. So I don't know if Boyd is going to be in that mix.
I will say he did like Boyd last start, so he might this start.
He was pretty good last start. That wasn't a bad call.
No, I didn't even know what he did.
For the slate, you weren't excited about 14 points.
No,
I just remember you liked it.
I'm just trying to defend myself over here.
Yeah, well, you're a true believer in Boyd, and I respect the loyalty. I respect the loyalty. When DC is on a pitcher, it never goes away. He's always got that love. Ryan Nelson is a guy down cheap I think you can go to against Colorado coming out of altitude. Adam Wainwright is the last pitcher that I'm going to touch on because nobody's going to play Carl Kaufman even at 4,800. It doesn't matter. Look, Wainwright, like a lot of these veteran pitchers who either had injuries or had shortened spring trainings because the teams are trying to be cautious and keep them ready for certainly what the Cardinals hope is going to be a extended run into October, although they haven't looked at this way. Adam Wainwright at 6,100 against a Royals team on the road that is showing high ownership here. Game has a high total. Look, the Royals were great at home. Then they went to Chicago to play the White Sox a couple of weeks ago, did absolutely nothing on the road. What I expect out of Adam Wainwright is like these other veteran pitchers, the Scherzers, the Verlanders. They're different types of pitchers, but they're veteran guys who can pitch, is that they're going to get right. They're going to get okay. And I'm willing to take a shot on Adam Wainwright at 6,100 today against a team in the Royals that I think is just going to be over-owned for the spot. The St. Louis ballpark is not the Kansas City ballpark. And like I said, the last time they went on the road, we saw a big letdown out of this Kansas City team. You probably don't need him, but just in case you see one of those games where he has the sharp 12-6 curveball working against these younger Kansas City hitters, 10%, easily enough to get over the field on Wainwright. He could put up 20, 24 points. The Cardinals could put up a big number on this Royals pitching staff, and he could be 6 innings, like I said, 20 points and a win. So I'm going to mix him into my pool. That's it. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, great pitching breakdown there. Someone mentioned we did get that Cubs lineup, and yeah, man, that lineup looks pretty gross. Miles Mastromaby at the top of the order. This Cubs lineup does not look scary. Taj Bradley, what any boost there, JT? Any final thoughts seeing that Cubs came out when you were talking? So, and
regardless of what the Cubs lineup would have been today, Taj Bradley would have been one of my top 2 pitchers, I think, in terms of exposure on this slate. I actually think Bradley, looking like he's going to be about 20% owned, and I think on this slate, when you look at guys who can get you strikeouts, he's not. None of these Rays pitchers are going to go 8 innings, right? We know that. You're looking at 6 innings, but I think that, certainly you get the bigger guys, the bigger names out of that lineup, the more proven names out of that lineup. And it looks like a day where, after getting pounded over the weekend by the Cincinnati Reds, looks like a day where, they're just going to give these couple of these guys some time to rest and maybe get right for the rest of the week.
Yeah, man, that's definitely like Patrick Wisdom's been swinging was such a hot stick. He's not in the line. I mean, Tucker Barnhart, Matt Mervis, Edwin Rios, Mike Tosh. Yes, sign me up for some Taj Bradley after seeing that lineup, no doubt. Good morning, AP. Hope you're having a great morning. DC, if you want to touch on anything with the Cubs lineup, touch on the cheaper pitchers. But one name I want you to talk about, Logan Allen, hasn't been brought up. I don't love the matchup against Baltimore, but on a 6-game pitching slate that looks gross, he is one of the most talented guys on this slate, no doubt about that. He has the upside. Again, don't love the matchup. So if you want to mention anything about Cubs lineup, Logan Allen for me, that anything else, you got to mention Matthew Boyd too, that anything else you like to round out pitching.
Yeah, I'll first say I think that Cubs lineup, like you said, no Wisdom, no Christopher Morel, who has cooled off, but still one of their more dangerous hitters, not in the lineup today. I think that's enough for me to push Taj Bradley to my number 1 option. Especially, his ownership is going to go up a little bit based on that Cubs lineup, but I still think it's going to be well below Eovaldi. What do you have Eovaldi's ownership at, Title? If you have it,
I think Eovaldi will be somewhere around 40 to 45, and then SP2. I think JP France, like JT said, probably comes in second highest owned, which. Yeah, no thank you to that. Anyone that would come in second highest owned to SP2, they're all projected kind of similar how I have it. Strikeout props look similar. So I think it's all Valdi, like 40, 45. France maybe somewhere around 30. And then, some of these guys, 20, 25. Bradley probably gets ownership bump now with how bad this Cubs lineup is. But Valdi, 40, 45 on an island, I think.
Yeah, makes sense. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it went a little bit higher just based on the options today.
Yeah.
JP France, I'm with you guys, or JT at least, when I really don't have a lot of interest there. The Twins lineup probably will go under the radar, and I'm kind of hoping we don't get this lineup till a little bit later. But the Twins getting a couple of important bats healthy today. Max Kepler, who was hitting pretty well before he went on the IL with a hamstring strain. Also a low strikeout guy against right-handed pitching. He should be in the lineup. And then, Edward Julian is hitting really well for them. And then, even more importantly, they get Royce Lewis back. Former number 1 overall pick, has had like 2 ACL tears, but a really, really good hitter, was tearing up AAA. I don't even think he's probably in the player pool, frankly. I'm not sure on either site. But another guy that is going to lengthen that Twins lineup a little bit. Go ahead, JT.
I think someone posted in Discord, it might have been our guy Jerker, who's a big Minnesota fan, that a 2K Royce Lewis.
He is in there. Okay.
He might be in, he might be stone minimum, but I want you to talk about this, because this is the one thing that I've seen when we're considering stacking Twins. Which are the guys that are safe from pinch hit risk of Kepler? We know Julian is not, because he got literally 1 at bat in a bullpen game for the opposing team last week. So are Lewis and Kepler safe? Because we know guys like Kirilloff are not. We know guys like Larnach are not. So that's important when thinking about how you're going to stack this team, because even if you're playing multiple lineups, you just want to lower your exposure to the guys that are likely to get pinch hit as soon as JP France leaves the game.
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure just because we haven't seen this iteration of the Twins lineup before. They've had kind of guys in and out of the lineup. Obviously, Royce Lewis, if he does make the lineup today, which I think he will, is a right-handed hitter against, would be the right-handed pitcher in JP France. So I would assume he'll be safe. But yeah, Kirilloff, Julian, actually that game you're referring to, they hit him cleanup in the bullpen game. He didn't even get in a bat. They subbed him out. Didn't get a single at bat. They pinch hit for him in the second inning.
That's probably never happened, right? That has to be a first.
Yeah, I think he played 1/2 inning on defense.
It was the Giants, and I remember we did. I think it was the Monday show, and I said
I think it was like somewhat chalky that day.
Yes, because I remember talking about. I said this is the DFS nightmare. These two teams playing against each other, where one of them has a bullpen game, and honestly, it's a rare opportunity to say this about Gabe Kapler, but sharp move because he pivoted to use an opener that was a different hand than it was Sean Manaea that was going to go later. And immediately half of the Twins lineup goes out in the second or third inning.
I have no idea. Ridiculous. I mean, the Twins knew Sean Manaea was by far the likeliest pitcher to come in.
Why wouldn't you bat him third then? At least get him.
Well, the funny part was they had him leading off initially. Yeah. And then like Joey Gallo got, I think, maybe put into the lineup.
Gallo or somebody got scratched.
They moved Julian to fourth, and then he never even got to hit. So bizarre situation there. But yeah, your point is well taken, JT. Where it's like, a lot of these Twins are not safe. Safe ones. Kepler, they usually don't pitch hit for him. Obviously, Buxton, Correa, Gallo, they usually leave in there, and then Royce Lewis. I think if he can stay healthy, is going to be an everyday regular in this lineup, probably at third base for the most part. So, yeah, we'll see on that Twins lineup. But I'm with you. Not a ton of interest in JP France. I think he hasn't been that good, but I think he's pitched over his head so far. Even I really, what is he, like a 29-year-old journeyman? I mean, he looks like it. He's got like the rec specs and the mustache, and those guys. They can sometimes have a little run, but they usually come crashing back there.
He was driving Ubers with Randy Dobnak, and
exactly.
Randy Dobnak is now actually back driving Ubers. So full circle there.
I haven't heard that name in a little bit.
Yeah, little more in pitching. So yeah, I do think I really like the Texas stack too, but I do think you can play Matthew Boyd. Kind of the same reasons I talked about last time on the show with you guys. He's still missing a ton of bats, and he's cheap. And you get some leverage, right? Because we will see a lot of people on Texas for sure. Boyd, I don't think he's safe at all. But really, I mean, what'd you say, Todd? You're going to have one pitcher, Eovaldi, projected above 15 fantasy points. So there's not really anybody safe. So I think swinging for a little bit of upside at low ownership makes some sense with Boyd. Game theory-wise, would interested to hear your guys' opinion on this. When there's a pitcher that's kind of chalky almost by default, which I wouldn't quite say that about Eovaldi, but it's kind of getting close, right? Where
pretty like much said, on this slate. You can say it on this
was a normal 10-game or even a 6-game slate like it is today with better pitching. Like Eovaldi wouldn't be jumping off the page as a guy to roster, I don't think. It's just
there's slates he would literally probably be 10% owned because
exactly.
he's over 10K.
Don't you think that's like the time to
the way he's
get off the chalk in general? Yeah.
Go ahead, DC.
Yeah, I just think anytime a pitcher is super chalky, not due to necessarily merit or even the matchup, but just because of lack of other options, especially this year where pitching has been less safe in general, that seems like a slate where I want to move away from the chalk if I can. Problem is there's not that many options, obviously, to go to on a smaller slate. JP, it sounds like you're on Eovaldi, Bradley, and Wainwright kind of as your three for the most part.
No, Nelson is in there.
Nelson, okay.
And then, like I said, I'm mostly off of Sonny Gray, but these spots where teams come out of Oakland or they go into the next series, Astros are a little different because when the Astros played the A's at home last week and then they went to Milwaukee, I think they scored like 15 runs the first game. So it's a little different. You can't use it as a standard rule, but generally, Sonny Gray on the road against this team is not a play I'm going to be interested in at, whatever he is, 20% owned.
Yeah. Last guy I'll mention, and this is obviously a very, very risky play. He won't have any ownership, is Michael Myers for Kansas City, who, again, not a guy with really any pedigree, kind of a no-name type guy. And he does have, one of the tougher matchups on paper. Certainly the market has zero faith in him. St. Louis, I think, has the highest team total on the entire slate. So a lot of marks against him. There's no question about it. He's not really a guy that was on my radar, but he did do some really interesting things in his last start where he struck out 8 Tigers, got to throw 84 pitches. He's also in that long relief role that's really good for wins because you don't have to, like, the opener can't get one. And then so basically the official scorer assigns the win to whoever, pitches best out of the bullpen, which Myers would qualify for. At 5,400, that 4 points could go a long way. I know you like Wainwright a little bit, but there's no question Kansas City could put up some decent amount of runs. In Myers, like the 8 strikeouts, I think they're fluky in the sense that I don't really obviously expect him to do anything like that today, or frankly, I mean, that might be his career high in strikeouts at the big league level in his career right there. That wouldn't shock me either. But he did get a lot of whiffs in that start. He did get the Tigers to chase outside of the zone, and the Tigers have been better, frankly, over this last week or two. Like the underlying metrics for him in that start looked pretty good, like much better than I expected them to look digging in. He's a guy where, like the pedigree, the past stats are bad enough where I wouldn't even, I might make the mistake of almost like skipping over him and not digging in a little bit further. But on this slate where there's just not that many pitchers to choose from, kind of digging for anything you can find, right? Any way to get different that you have some sort of confidence, some idea of maybe some upside. And listen, this Cardinals lineup is dangerous. The most likely thing is obviously that they blow up Myers. He doesn't pitch well, but I think he's at least got a chance to get some strikeouts here. Maybe steal a win. Nobody's going to play him. He's 5,400. He allows you to get the bats in. I'll have him on a lineup or two at least today.
I like it. Before I get to JT and then you back to DC to wrap up pitching, just like JT said, need some likes for the holiday crew. People in here liking. Thanks for being here today, gents. A lot of people. We're here every day. Memorial Day, we're here bright and early in the morning. Big prize pools up top. RPS logos are going to be up there today, trying to make you guys some money. So we appreciate. All we ask from you is the like button, is the big red subscribe button. Got NBA tonight too. A lot of money to be made. If you're hanging out with family, friends, enjoying yourself, hey, you got to get those lineups in. Got to get the job done early. Get some money. Get some more money in your pocket for later tonight. But yeah, MLB, NBA, all the content over here at Run Pure Sports. NASCAR, I think too. If I'm believing it right, the race got postponed last night, and I think they're going off today. So if you're in the NASCAR streets as well, a lot of sports going on. Everything up at Run Pure Sports. Use the promo code DC, gets you 15. DC 15 gets you 15% off. JT, wrap up pitching for us. Give us your top 3. And there was something. Oh, it was about the Evaldi point that you were going to chime in. Yeah, he has been so good. So maybe 10% on another slate. Something like you were going to say a little higher, I think. But just looking at the projection, like Corbin Burns 2 days ago, higher projection, 8.3K. Yesterday, Drew Smiley had pretty much the same projection across the industry at 7.3 or something. It definitely didn't work out. But just like 10.5 and you see this, it's a tougher matchup. I don't know. But the projection across the industry definitely is lower than usually a 10.5K, 50% owned pitcher would be. That's just the context of this slate and what else we're working with. So wrap up pitch and JT, give us your top 3.
Yeah, I mean, as you guys know, I don't ever hate the contrarian play. The question for me when I'm looking at this is, what is the appropriate ownership, right? Which pitchers are over-owned based on the slate, based on whatever. And I think when you looked at it yesterday, at least the way I looked at the slate and I saw Drew Smiley's ownership, I thought that's too high. That's too high. He's over-owned. When I look at today's slate, the 2 pitchers I see that are over-owned are JP France and Marcus Stroman, which naturally brings my interest to Tampa Bay and Minnesota bats. With Evaldi, the case here to be made is, right, and I'm going to get to this point too, because someone just made a comment in here that I want to highlight. When you look at pitchers and you say, oh, they've been so good, right? They're not going to do that every start. They're not going to be Cy Young every start. Spencer Strider had a down start against Texas in Texas, right? Those things happen even for guys who are pitching well. We don't expect Nathan Evaldi every single start this season to go 7-8 innings with 8 to 11 Ks. It's just not going to happen. So I can't fault that, especially where you think a guy is going to become much, much higher. The difference with Eovaldi, as opposed to France, as opposed to a guy like Stroman, is he's got the capability and has pitched to that ownership, right? He's pitched to not quite the Spencer Strider level, but in terms of consistency where you say, yeah, I can see him. I've got him in the 30s. You guys are probably right. He's going to go up a little bit. But that's why I say I like Taj Bradley just as much, who's going to be about half his own. This comment here, though, right? Wainwright has been awful. How many times do we hear this about a pitcher who's been in the league or just any pitcher? Oh, they've been awful. If you're playing this game by just playing the people who have done well or riding a hot streak, you're just going to flame out.
DC, so DC thought that was him. Hold on, I am hosting this. We are still live. JT, get out of here. DC, that was on JT. That wasn't
okay.
You. That's all you leaving. You and I both are looking at each other confused. He was talking, and it's just coming.
Well, I figured I'm in the hotel, so I figured maybe it was the hotel internet, but no, okay. JT.
No, I saw and I was looking around too. So yeah, we're everyone. The whole chat's going crazy. I was making sure before I didn't kick them that it wasn't me or anything.
Were you getting
like
a
Yeah, and I was like, what is going on? I was looking at your face, looking at everything else. No one had a clue what was going on. So JT will be back when he can make it. Chat's loving that. Hit that like button just for that. JT for us. He'll be back. Hopefully, though. DC, wrap up pitching for us. You gave us pretty much your whole takes, but rank top 3. Any final thoughts before we go game by game?
Yeah, give me Taj number 1, Eovaldi 2, Wells 3. But yeah, I've talked myself in, as I sometimes do on the show, to some Michael Myers. Mike Myers. He might be scary for your lineup, so I'll say that with Mike Myers. But if we're trying to win, it's not. If you're trying to increase your chances of min cashing, Myers is certainly not the play for you. He's going to be 1 or 2% owned for a reason. Gives you leverage against one of the top stacks, and if he has a good game, you're going to be a lot closer to getting to the top than playing most of these guys. So. Not for the faint of heart, Mr. Myers, but I will be playing some of him myself.
Yeah, he'll be 1% on, 0.8% on maybe with you and maybe a couple other people that found it.
A little Memorial Day miracle for DC, maybe.
There you go. And one other question: sausage or bacon, DC? I
love both, but I'll go bacon if I got to choose.
JT, my guess is you also are bad. That's why I asked. Right now. Right. That's why I asked. I saw him munching on it. Right. JT. You are back? Did you switch computers or something? The camera angle now maybe looks a little low or something, but I don't know if you know what happened, but you kind of froze, and all we heard was, and it just kept going and going, and you are back. You're all good now. Talk about Wayno. Finish up pitching for us.
Yeah, I've got Quinn here with me in the office, and I've got a plate of bacon, and she was unhappy that she wasn't getting enough of the bacon, so she tripped one of the cords. So thanks, Quinn. The point about Wainwright is, look, like the points I made about the Royals going on the road, is this a guy who's going to be this bad all season long? No. Is he going to be 6,100 all season long? He's not going to be 6,100 all season long. And if you're playing just the guys that have been well, just like we had this conversation on Saturday about Max Scherzer, right? Or Friday about Max Scherzer, where Steve Boynton had been on him. He hadn't pitched well. Everybody comes off him because he's in Colorado and he hasn't pitched well, and he goes out there and he tosses a gem. So I can see Wainwright doing something similar than that today. It's not a position that I'm going to take and be like 50%. He's going to come in 5%. I'm going to have maybe 10 or 15% of him. And I think the approach, locking Myers at 10%, if you think that's a good play, same thing. For me, it's probably going to be Bradley, Eovaldi, Ryan Nelson. I'll take my shots on Wainwright. We'll see if anybody else sneaks into the pool there, but that's pretty much what I'm looking at today.
Love it. That is pitching 35 minutes right there. Memorial Day pitching on this 6-game slate, on a gross pitching slate too. You won't get that anywhere in the business. JT, DC breaking it all down. Again, we do appreciate if you do hit that like button for us. Uncle T's in chat. He's got the playbook up on the site already. Again, that is a premium product. behind the paywall. DC 15 gets you 15% off. JT, DC core plays will be up. Mangone has a single entry, 3-entry max stuff. He gives his breakdown, his slate, review, cast chart, all of that good stuff. And of course, NBA Game 7, no better words in sports, on tonight. Huge prize.
You got title. Who do you got Game 7?
Oh, man, I think the Celtics do it. I just think the momentum's there. The Heat are dying out. I'm cheering for the Heat. I am, but, man, I don't know. What about you?
Man,
feels like you just lost 3 in a row. You're going on the road.
And after that last game, man, the miracle comeback and then just the backbreaker. But the one thing about the Heat, I'll say, with Jimmy Butler leading the team, they're not going to wilt, right? I mean, they'll come out and give it a go at least. But it seems like they're a little bit outgunned. And, man, it's really, you would think, hard mentally to come back from that. But if anyone can do it, I think the Heat are a good candidate to do it.
No, I do agree with that. And they've played them well, like every game. Caleb Martin has been out of his mind, though. Yeah. He's got to keep doing that. What a story. He's going to get paid for sure, but it'll be a fun one. I'm cheering for the Heat. That's for sure. Partly, the Boston's owned the Bucks as of late, so got to cheer for the Heat there. But we'll go game by game. Again, like button, we do appreciate it. 6 games. JT, we'll start with you first. Cleveland Guardians, Baltimore Orioles, Logan Allen, Tyler Wells on the mound. Pretty nice hitting weather. About 80 degrees. You did mention a possibility for delay. I think the game should be fine. What do you see in this one for bats, JT?
Yeah, I think the game plays. Just mentioned the possibility of the delay because there's some weather in the area. And I'm going to play Cleveland. I'm gonna stick with what my instinct was last night when I looked at Tyler Wells' season-long numbers. Again, going back to what a expectation is. It's about 75 to 80% left on base, about a 220 to 240 batting average against, and Tyler Wells way under those numbers. So no one's going to play the Guardians. If I have them in 10 to 15% of my lineups, that'll be way over the field, and I like them here. Orioles probably stick to more mini stacks here. They had a quiet weekend, relatively quiet weekend against Texas. I played some of them yesterday, and at least Austin Hayes had a good day, so that was nice. But just don't love them here in this spot.
Yeah. The Cleveland's Wells is going to get some ownership. I mean, a lot of these pitchers, Wells could come in around 20%, 15 or something.
Yep.
Guardians, I don't mind that one bit. Get the guaranteed 9th inning at bat, decent hitting weather. What are your thoughts? It's never fun clicking some of these Guardians DC, but get some good prices on it. Only a 6-game slate. What are you doing in this game?
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't even call it a strong disagree, but maybe this is a spot where JT and I disagree somewhat. I do like Tyler Wells a little bit. I don't think I'm going to click on the Guardians. They just don't get there very often unless they can run. There's just no power on this team, but I get it. I mean, I don't think Tyler Wells is some world beater. I'm mostly on him on the context of the slate, and I don't like to talk about weather on shows with title. He hurt my feelings. He trusts the other weather man more than me. He's on the record. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard it, but I will say I do think this game will play just fine.
On that point, we'll move on to the next game. Texas Rangers, Detroit Tigers, Nathan Eovaldi, Matthew Boyd, DC's favorite pitcher. DC, what are you doing in this one?
I don't want to be on the record either of having Matthew Boyd as my number one pitcher. I'll start with that. I will have probably a share or two of Boyd across my 5 or 10 lineups. But I like Texas here a lot too. I mean, when Boyd gets hit, when Boyd sucks, it's a lot of fantasy points, usually home runs. You can run on him a little bit. He gets wild. And, I don't know who's been on like the winning stack most often this year. Texas has got to be way up there. They have had some huge games. We see it with like Adolis Garcia in particular has absolutely slate-breaking games. Like, I don't know, it seems like once every 2 weeks or something, and then he'll go quiet. And, if things go south for Boyd, obviously most of the bullpen for Detroit isn't super great. So I do really like this Texas stack as well, despite being willing, at least I would say, to play some Matthew Boyd. And we kind of mentioned the Eovaldi versus the Tigers thing. I think Eovaldi is one of the top options on the slate, but I also think he's going to be a little bit overowned. If you're not playing him, I do suggest playing some of these Detroit lefties in particular. Same 3 guys have been on for the last week or two: McKinstry, Green, and Baddoo. By far my favorite 3 guys on the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, and I like it because you're not just saying that out of a pure game theory. Evaldi is going to be in a tier of his own at pitching. Like you said pre-show, like you've been on these Tigers. They have been pesky.
They're
like
running, hitting for power, just playing much better. I mean, Riley Green was a top prospect. Took him a little bit to get going, but if the month of May is any indication, we could be kind of seeing a star emerge here. So it's still not reflected in ownership most nights. So yeah, I think these Tigers remain good values most of the time.
Yeah, I like it. JT, going to you in this one. Any Tigers for you, the game theory route? It is hot in Detroit, about 80 degrees, good hitting weather here. A lot of these games, decent hitting weather. Besides Chicago, Arizona, I think will be close. Yeah, no, besides Chicago, it's pretty good hitting weather on the 6-game slate. You come into this game for bats at all, JT?
Yeah, I mean, Texas bats are going to be lower owned than the Royals bats. So yes, definitely interest in what has been so far this season, one of the best offenses against left-handed pitching. And then DC, to your point on the Tigers, I like I said, I think that's something that I look for every slate, an opportunity to take advantage of leverage against the highest owned pitcher. But in the case of the Tigers in particular, I don't think you'd recommend full stacking here, right? You're going to stick more to mini stacks.
Yeah, just pretty much those three guys that I mentioned. Yeah, and then I'd probably go full stack somewhere else, like a 5-3 with the 3 Tigers that I like.
Yeah, not too much different than DC there.
It's crazy. Someone earlier in chat brought it up, and the Tigers are in second place, only a game out of first. Never thought I'd be saying that to start the year 2023, but it's a pretty tough division they got in the AL Central. But Guardians third, only 3.5 back. Your Royals though, AP, that's a little hurtful way down there. 16-38, AP's most stacked team. But hey, they have been on the winner sometimes. They have been it's played in some some shootouts. There's no doubt about that. DC said Texas might have been because none of us know this answer. I'm curious about your take, JT. On the winner the most, on the optimal the most. He said Texas. The Rays, I assume, would be my guess. Outside of that, really not sure. Besides the Rays, though, JT, who would your guess be?
It kind of, I mean, it's week to week in this sport, right? I would say, I don't know. It's between the Braves and the Dodgers, I think. Other teams that have been on the winner more frequently. I mean, it's a shame that the Braves got to face Dylan Covey on Sunday Night Baseball yesterday because that would have been a fun opportunity to stack them up. But I think those guys, and maybe the Orioles hot start I know they were on the winner a couple of times. I got
Orioles would have been my second guess too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
I mean, I got these two teams were not on the winners, but Saturday I think the Cardinals, not the Cardinals, the Reds and the Angels I had up top in a lot of contests, but that's going to happen like once a month.
Yeah. Well, when it gets a little warmer, maybe those teams might find their way a little. Yeah. Fenway plays a little better there, but good question. Quick question before we get the remaining 3 games on smaller slates. You guys feel it's more important to stack 5-3 or 5-2 or do something different with smaller stacks and more one-offs? Definitely a good question, and there's no right or wrong answer about that. I'm always on the same page. I know Big T's always this page as well. Stacking, whether it is 5-3, whether it's 5-2-1. I think that's the way to go on pretty much every slate, whether it is small, whether it is big. But, I mean, DC can disagree at times. Last year, his big 50K win was a lot of one-offs and favorite bats that way. So, DC, you can answer that question how you think, but just know, and there's no right or wrong answer. He might disagree, and people win with multiple different strategies in baseball. But touch on that quick, DC, before we keep it rolling.
Yeah, I think in general, if you stick with 5-3, 5-2-1 stacks, 4-4s, if you just make that a rule, which, I think Title U mostly do that, Big T mostly do, you can't really go wrong doing that, right? That's generally the proper strategy. I personally think the smaller the slate, the more viable, playing whatever
3-3-2 or something like that.
Like you said, the slate I won last year was kind of a similar one to this. It was a smaller afternoon slate where I essentially just played all the guys I thought were the best. Not a cash game team, but the best plays once you consider price and ownership and all that stuff. So, yeah, you can certainly win either way. But I personally believe, because you get to a 12, 15 game slate, whatever, it's really hard to avoid one team going for 10 plus runs, right? Which is really hard to overcome. But if you get a slate like this one, maybe the highest scoring team on the slate scores 7 runs. I personally think it'll probably be higher than that today, but it's possible. In that case, it's more important to have the guys that hit the home runs than it is to have the one correct team, right? So I think that at least makes sense to me intuitively.
Yeah, no, 100%. Good breakdown there. Good question as well. Jake's in here as always. Just woke up drunk. What's up, boys? What's going on, Jake? We appreciate you just got in here. Anyone else that just got in here, do appreciate it if you do hit that like button for us. 80 likes, 265 watching. No other word besides hurtful. There's no other word, but we'll keep it rolling. JT's getting upset right there. Just saw a big sigh and deep breath from him. Do us a favor, hit that like. Because next time JT's dog, I'm forgetting the name, I'm sorry, kicks the cord, he's not going to return. But we'll keep it rolling. JT, next game, Kansas City Royals, St. Louis Cardinals, Mike Myers, Adam Wainwright. Again, good hitting weather, 80, a little above 80 degrees. Waino, Myers, two really cheap pitchers, but DC had a little interest in Myers. You had a little interest in Waino. What are we doing in this one?
Yeah, I think, I like the Cardinals bats here a little bit. Myers did pitch well in that one start. But I think you get past him, you've got a bullpen that, isn't very good, hasn't been very good, got torched for most of the weekend by the Nationals. So I can see the Cardinals. I am going to, roll with my stand on playing some Wainwright. So probably not a lot from Kansas City here for me.
DC.
Yeah, I definitely like Kansas City more than JT does. Adam Wainwright, he's made the 4 starts. I really think he is. I think he said this is his last season. Was injured to start the year. Like someone who, frankly, really couldn't afford to lose any more velocity. It's down even further this year. He's got the lowest swing and miss rate, swing strike rate in all of baseball for any starter that's pitched at least 10 innings. I just don't see really anything to have faith in Wainwright outside of, obviously a long, successful career. But yeah, I do like the Royals a little bit. I'm on them a little bit more than I am the Cardinals. Obviously talked about, I wouldn't say my love or even like, but my willingness, at least on this slate, to play Mike Myers of the Royals at pitcher. Of course, you can stack up the Cardinals. They do have the highest total on the slate. They could absolutely go off. Really 1 through 9 looks pretty decent to me. If you are going that direction, I think you could go to the back half of this lineup if you wanted to.
Yeah, good break. That's got to be his last year. I think he did say. The dude's out here singing the national anthem before the game. I don't even know if it was the game he pitched. I can't remember exactly. So. It wasn't that. But yeah, the dude's out here doing it all there. So
that would be badass if he sung the national anthem before
Memorial Day
started.
Oh, I thought you meant today.
From the mound.
Yeah. Yeah, when he did that, he had pretty solid voice. Hey, that's the next.
Trades in the mic for the game ball, and he's good to go.
Yeah, that's the next career choice he wants to make. Waino can figure that out. That was cool to see, though. A couple more games left on this slate. We do appreciate if you do hit that like button, of course. The worst hitting weather on the slate: Taj Bradley, Marcus Stroman, Tampa Bay Rays visiting the Chicago Cubs. We talked about how bad this Cubs lineup was. I do not think you guys will have interest there. As far as the Rays, DC, I'll go back to you. I know JT's going to have some interest here. You have some interest in these Rays against Stroman.
Yeah, I'm with JT. I think the Rays are pretty damn sneaky here. Nobody's going to play them. It's not like it's horrible hitting weather in Wrigley, right? It's 75 degrees.
Just compared to the other games,
no, for
it's a
sure.
little worse in the wind.
And some moderate winds blowing in. I think, if it was 10-mile-per-hour winds out instead of in, you'd probably see the Rays be one of the more popular teams on the slate. They've got enough power to hit it out of this park in moderate hitting conditions, obviously. And we're talking about which teams have gotten to the winner's circle most often. I don't know whether that's not the Rays, but compared to their ownership, I bet they are the highest on the winners, because people don't play them that often, right? There's kind of the pinch hit risk. A lot of these names, like Wander Franco was a big prospect, but nobody really saw this season, like MVP type stuff coming from him. Yandy Diaz finally fixed that launch angle. He was always hitting it into the ground hard. Now he hits home runs. He's back and healthy, leading off, I would guess. So, yeah, I think this Jose Siri, he'll probably be at the bottom of the order, but he's been on fire recently. I do think this Rays team certainly one of the sneakier stacks on this slate.
Yeah, sign me up. We talked about it. The Rays just keep getting the job done.
Yeah.
Stroman, all of that. JT liked it earlier. JT, you can talk about why you like them. I don't think you like Cubs, but break it down.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's talk about the weather. And people are going to be talking about, the wind's blowing in. Well, I mean, the Reds and the Cubs put up like 1,000 runs over the weekend, and the wind was blowing in about the same level of temperature. It certainly didn't hurt Jonathan India, his double dong on Saturday night. And it didn't hurt them yesterday either. And I think this is going to continue. I talked about Stroman and how he plays with such emotion. This is just a classic letdown spot for a guy coming off of what he probably perceives as the best game that he's pitched all season, his highlight of the season, beating the Mets. Now, I think he just is going to get run early, and we're going to get to a tired Cubs bullpen. So Rays are going to be my top stack on the day.
Make that 2 for 2 as the top stack. Right when you talked about in the beginning, JT, you see that ownership, how good the Rays have been, the lineup, guaranteed ninth inning at bats. It all seems to come together for me, so I like it. Oh, and then you pair him, Taj Bradley, get Taj Bradley the win, get a couple extra points there, like how you're thinking. 2 games left. Colorado Rockies, unfortunately, not in Coors Field. Probably fortunately for a lot of people. I know I'm one of the few that enjoy a little Coors Field slate. Rockies taking on the Diamondbacks. Carl Kaufman, Ryan Nelson on the mound. D-backs, we're talking chalk on the slate. It's definitely going to be the D-backs. Kaufman, no good. High total for the Diamondbacks. I don't know. I mean, I would probably make a rule. You guys, I'll ask the same question. You guys play a lot more tournaments than I do, but would you make a rule to max one of a Valdi or a 5-man Arizona stack and then break down this game? DC, I'll start with you.
That makes sense to me, especially if you're playing an SB2 that's also popular. Yeah, I do think the D-backs, like you said, will be the most popular stack on the slate. It makes a lot of sense. Carl Kaufman, really not any good. As far as I can tell, doesn't really have any redeeming qualities at all as a pitcher. So certainly expect the D-backs to do damage here. We didn't talk a ton about Ryan Nelson when we were talking pitching. I do think he is another one of those guys that's kind of in play on this slate, not due to any great skills that he has. I'm really not a huge believer in him long-term, but he's 6,700. He can give you 90 pitches, and he gets the Rockies team on the road, right? They're one of the worst offenses in baseball on the road. They are seemingly every year. Don't really see, I know, they're going to have their occasional good games, but this is still a team you really want to target when they get outside of Coors Field. So yeah, Ryan Nelson will be in my player pool. Just hoping for 12, 15 points out of him, honestly. Just, get through 5-6 innings, maybe snag a win, 4 strikeouts, whatever, right? It's that type of slate. So I will have some Ryan Nelson, even though I'm not particularly excited about the play. But yeah, I'm with you. Nothing not to love here about the D-backs, assuming we don't have the lineup for them, but assuming it's a normal lineup.
Yeah. I mean, give me 15 from any pitcher not named on this slate and move on. And also, like we've been mentioning, because we have 6 games and they're spread out a little bit. First game starts at 105. Last game starts at 410. It's the last 2 games are both around 410. So I'm not sure we're going to have the lineups or when we'll have the lineups. Like, slate could lock first couple of games and us still not have those lineups, which could keep ownership down a little bit. I still don't think it'll keep the Diamondbacks down really too much. You mentioned Ryan Nelson, so I don't think you like the Rockies, JT. But what are your thoughts? You MME more. Are you going to make a rule of Valdi and 5-man Arizona stacks? Like, you wouldn't let them together? Or if you did, you would play very low-owned SP2 or something like that. Talk about that a little bit. I think it's interesting.
I think the way that we're approaching the slate, based on the way we're talking through it, DC and I, differ in a couple of places, but not really all that much, is we're going to be different, right? We're going to be unique enough that even if you paired the Diamondbacks with Eovaldi, you're trying to play maybe Taj Bradley. Maybe you're trying to play Ryan Nelson or Wainwright or Myers. Wainwright in my case, Myers in DC's case. And your 3-man stack then is going to be what? Maybe it's going to be the Tigers. I mean, you're not playing Eovaldi. Well, you could. I mean,
I wouldn't. That's why I didn't mention. I wouldn't be playing.
If you take a look at that Texas bullpen, you want to take a shot there. But let's say it's the Rays, right? You're going to play the Rays. You're going to be different there because their ownership is pretty low. Even Texas, quite honestly, with the Royals being more popular than Texas overall on this slate. So, and then just to go back to Lycan's question, some of my biggest wins, 5- and 6-figure wins, have been 3-3-2s. So I usually set aside a portion of my pool. And this year, with more offense, to the point that DC made earlier, your 3-3-2, the way I do it too, is I'm not looking to get like singles hitters in my 3-3-2s, right? I'm trying to get the top home run hitters from the teams that I like. So it would be, Adolis Garcia, Jose Ramirez, one of the home, Corbin Carroll, right? So you're definitely paying down at SP2, but it just gives you more upside. It gives you an opportunity of more upside. And then the rest of my pool is going to be 5-2 or 5-3. So stick with that. Going back to this game, agree with DC. I talked about Ryan Nelson as being one of the guys in my pool. AP just made a comment about if you play my core, just start drinking right now. I don't think so. I think the riskiest, I don't want to give away.
I was just gonna assume it was the Royals, but
yeah, no, it's not. It's
okay,
listen, of course there are Royals in there. There have to be Royals.
Yeah, okay.
It's just a rule that he has. Any lineup must have at least one or two.
I'll give you a hint. If you might be drinking with me and AP if you play that core.
Yeah, but I don't. Okay. I don't think it's. I actually think it's intriguing. I think it's intriguing. And again, similar thing there. When you're paying down at pitcher, you're getting an opportunity and access to greater home run upside, which is what you want to do. So, So for this game, I really don't have interest in the Rockies. I probably won't even get there in MME. Although sometimes it is a little bit of leverage to play the lower owned team and the high game totals. But here in this spot with them coming out of altitude, I'll be off. I like Ryan Nelson a little bit. And then, I'm definitely going to have some Diamondbacks.
I like it. If you do want to see AP score he's talking about, I just checked it out. Yeah, I don't know. You might be drinking a little early. You might not. You're either going first or last. There's really no in between there. DC's is bringing his up as well. And on the same page a little bit to start. So JT's will be up there as well. Who else do we got? Boynton's on there. Gary already got his core up. Uncle T got playbook and core up as well. So content is going up. Again, you do have to be a member. It's all behind the paywall. Head over to Rumpier Sports. Use the promo code DC15. Gets you 15% off an NBA later. Rubio, absolute heater. Make sure to check that out. Last game of the slate. We appreciate if you hit that like button for us. Where do we got? Minnesota Twins, Houston Astros, Sonny Gray, JP France on the mound. JT will go to you. I'll play this side's easy for me, or what side I'd rather. It'd be the Twins because JP France is going to be, I think, way over-owned compared to what he should be. Where Sonny Gray, he's definitely probably going to be right in the 20-30%. SP2 will get ownership that way, but I'd rather pick on JP France than I would Sonny Gray, especially at the ownership. Break down this game for us, JT.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm going to be playing with as soon as we get off here is how Twins Rays lineup look, right? How those lineups look, because that you're taking advantage of two of the higher owned pitchers who, in my opinion, should not be more highly owned on this slate. So definitely interest in the Twins here. And then, I'm probably going to stick to my rule going back to not really playing teams when they come out of the Oakland series, just because we've seen it with a lot of these teams. We've seen it with the Royals. We've seen it with the Yankees. And the Astros just get done pounding A's pitching. And now you have DC. I would say this season, like I said, on this slate, on this season, I think Sonny Gray has been in the top 20% of major league pitchers. So when you look at that and you say they're going to be facing one of the best pitchers in the game, everybody projects pretty low. Sonny Gray is going to be lower owned than Nathan Eovaldi. He's going to be lower owned than JP France. He's going to be lower owned than Marcus Stroman. Yeah, I think I will have some Sonny Gray. A little bit risky. I probably won't go over the field on him. The field's going to be about 18%. So maybe 20-25% of Sonny Gray. And I do like the Twins here. They're going to be low owned. That's when we want to play the Twins. They seem to break your heart when everybody's on them. But I think this is a spot I'm going to take advantage of for a little bit of leverage.
Yeah, so we did get that Twins lineup. Royce Lewis is in there. He's in the 5-hole. There is no Buxton in the lineup, which people are talking about, though. And as far as the Astros, you're talking a little Sonny Gray. We might not have that Astros lineup before lock. And who knows on Memorial Day if Yordahl and the Tucker. a random guy could sit that could give – could do what the Cubs do. Who knows what will happen. Sonny could get a bump in ownership. I don't see, especially if we don't get lineups after lock, unless someone has a player that's not in the lineup, they will obviously change that. It's really red. DK makes it known that you better change your lineup. I don't think people are going to adjust because a Buxton is, if we didn't get the Twins lineup, and if Buxton isn't in the lineup when he was supposed to be in, like people aren't bumping the other pitcher, I don't think, especially
they're saying it's up and there's no Buxton. I'm taking a look now. Okay.
No, it's right. It's right. I was just saying on the Astro side, if they did something like that, I was using an example. Like people aren't going to play more Sonny Gray if that Buxton news didn't. If that lineup hit in an hour and a half or something on Monday, I don't think people are changing throughout the day on this Memorial Day. But maybe I'm wrong.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm looking at this Twins lineup now, and I don't hate it. I mean, Buxton's a name in terms of this season. He hasn't been the guy in Twin stacks that's broken the slate. It hasn't been him. He's not stealing bases as much. I think he did have like one game where he had a couple of home runs earlier in the season, but
it's been Willie Castro,
Michael Taylor hit 2 home runs in a game, right? Julian and Kirilloff are the pinch hit risks in here, but Kepler is back. Jeffers is a nice hitting catcher. Gallo leading off. Correa hasn't done a whole lot, but look, if you take a shot, I think that's a Twins lineup that you don't have to worry as much about pinch hit risk. So I'll say that. You do have Buxton looming for Kirilloff. I don't know. I don't even think they'd pinch hit Castro at this point. So yeah, I'm gonna stay on it. It doesn't make me any more interested in JP France, and I'm gonna still stay on the Twins.
I like it. DC, wrap up last game of the slate.
Yeah, Royce Lewis in there in the 5 hole, like you mentioned. He's minimum price, 2K. Really good hitter. I think he's going to be good for the Twins if he can stay healthy. He had 4 home runs, I believe, in 8 games at AAA. Big power, some speed. So I think he's a good play. He'll go lower owned than he should for a 2K hitter, just because I assume his projection will still be just kind of low, just because he hasn't played in the big leagues this year. People are on JP France, and he doesn't have very many MLB at bats. I don't think he's really on that many people's radar, frankly, but he'll probably be a 4 to 5K player, I would guess, in a couple weeks. So maybe take advantage of that at shortstop if you want to. But yeah, other than that, I'm not on France. I'm not really on Sonny Gray here either, unless the Astros surprise us and roll out just a horrific lineup. Then maybe I would jump on some Sonny Gray, but I don't expect that, frankly. So mostly a game I won't be on outside of Royce Lewis, who I think is probably the best value hitter on the entire slate.
Love it. That is all 6 games. Over an hour talking baseball on this Monday, Memorial Day morning. Got to get the stacks. The likes are hurtful. I shouldn't even give the plays today. I'm not going to be me. I'm not going to be the Grinch on this holiday, though. But, man, likes, we do appreciate it if you do hit it. Top 3 stacks, DC. What you got?
Top 3. I will go with the Diamondbacks, number 1. I think a lot of people will be riding that train, but hard to, at least for me, to get away from it. I will go the Rangers, number 2. I do think you can play Matthew Boyd for the strikeout upside, but I still do really like this offense to do some damage. And let's go with the Rays, number 3.
Give me the Rays as well. JT, top 3 stacks.
Rays, Rangers, Twins.
Love it. Plays of the day time. I will go to myself first. It can't be taken by JT. The SO play of the day. I am going to the Rays. I'm going to the 9 hole. Jose Siri, absolutely swinging a hot stick. 3.1K. JT did name drop him a little earlier as well. Maybe dive in a little more. Sub 5% owned. No one likes playing 9 hole. Probably 1% to be honest. Jose Siri, the SO play of the day. I'll go to DC, just in case I did take a JT, you need a little more time. The Mom's Basement play of the day. You won't be in the Mom's Basement today, DC, but give us a winner.
Yeah, we'll go out to Detroit. We'll stick with these Tigers lefties that I've been on recently. They've been hot. And we'll go with Riley Green hitting 3rd against Eovaldi. Get some good leverage against the chalkiest pitcher on the slate as well.
Absolutely. Love it. JT, the Eiffel Tower play of the day, headed to France. What you got for us?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the leadoff hitter for the Minnesota Twins, Joey Gallo against JP France. I think Joey gets it done today. I'm going to give you a bonus. Hearing all these guys talk slander about one of the best pitchers to ever play the game, Adam Wainwright. When you talk about him, he's decreased velocity. I mean, sounds like you're talking about Zach Greinke. And what does Zach Greinke do at home? All he does is win, baby. Adam Wainwright, might even put him in my core. We'll see what happens.
Who throws harder, you or Adam Wainwright?
Probably still Adam Wainwright. So
Yeah, Wainwright sticks around a couple of years. JT might pass him up.
I might catch him. Yeah, we'll see.
Love it. We appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us today. Again, monster prize pools up there. All of our content will be up at Run Pure Sports. Use the promo code DC15. Gets you 15% off. Make sure to check out both of these guys' cores. NBA on tonight. I think NASCAR, like I said, is going on today. If you're hanging out with family and friends, having a couple beers, whatever you are doing, hope you guys do enjoy your day. Let's see some RPS logos up top. We'll be in the Discord, as always, to get any questions you have answered. Fun show, though. Everybody out there, have a great day. For JT, DC, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.